Hey guys, long time no talk. So today, as you can see by the title, I am recapping my first trimester. I know I've been a little MIA, um, but I just wanted to make this video because I wanted to document my first trimester and my pregnancy, because this is really why I made a YouTube channel, so I can document everything that's going on in my life. Hopefully that's not too loud. But yeah, so first kind of symptoms I had, which were like, ooh, something's up, was I was extremely exhausted. But I just chalked that up to, like, we just got back from our honeymoon. There's like a time zone difference, but I think it was like maybe an hour, but I was like, oh, but like that shouldn't really affect me. But then when I tested on July 3rd, I actually didn't think I was pregnant at all, because I had typical like period symptoms. I was like tired, bloated, and crampy. So I was like, oh, I'm just getting my period. Like, I was for sure that I was like, oh, I'm getting my period tomorrow. Like, that's it. Like, not pregnant. Like, even though I was like testing every day, I was like, oh, there's no way I'm pregnant. Like, I was fully convinced. I was like, no, it's not happening. So July 3rd, I tested that night, which I usually tested during the day because they say that's like the best time to like test is like first thing in the morning. But for some reason I tested that night. I don't know why, because I never really did at night. And I was like, okay. And I even tested like when I was making dinner. It was like 7 o'clock or something. I was like, let me just test, because tomorrow's 4th of July. And I was like, oh, if I am pregnant, I want to know so I don't drink. But if I'm not, then I'm like in the clear. So I took a test, and it was like one of those like little strips. And I was like, okay, I'll take the test, put it down, then go back to making dinner, which I did. And Jaron was like outside mowing. So like I really wasn't thinking anything of it, especially because I didn't have anything that like really was different. Like, I'm very aware of like when I'm getting my period. And I was like, oh, I'm just getting my period. But so I took the test, made dinner, then I went back because I'm like, oh, I should put the test away or like throw it out if it's like negative. I flipped the test over and I was like, there's definitely a line. Granted, it was extremely faint, but there was a line. I was like, and I've never gotten a line before, like never. I was like, okay, well, I need to take another test to see if it's like truly real. So I took like a clear blue test. And granted, I think I was supposed to get my period like the 4th of July. So it wasn't like early to test. It wasn't like extremely early to test. So I was like, okay, I'll take this. I took it, waited a little bit, and there was a faint line. And I was like, okay, 2 tests, 2 different tests. There's a faint line. I'm like, okay, I'm pregnant. And I started freaking out because I'm like, Jaren's outside mowing. He could come in any minute and be like, what are you doing? And I was like, so I put the test away and I went back to making dinner. And I think we had dinner and it was like, I was super awkward because I was so nervous to tell him, because I'm like, I hope I definitely am pregnant and I'm not like, I don't know. There's like false positives, so I was like nervous to tell him if I wasn't pregnant, but I was like, it's 2 tests. I think I am pregnant if I got 2 different tests. But it was like so early. Like when I found out, I was like 3 weeks. Like going on 4. Yeah, going on 4. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I told him that night. But the problem was 4th of July was the next day and we were having family over. And I was like, well, we have to tell them because they're going to know if I'm not drinking that I'm pregnant. So I told his sister that night because we needed help figuring out how to tell his mom the next morning, because they were all coming over that next day for 4th of July. because we were gonna like barbecue and then go to a parade or whatever and see, not parade, we were gonna see fireworks. So we told her, and before that, before telling his sister, we actually went to the grocery store, and of course it was like 8 or 9 o'clock the day before, like 4th of July, so everything's closed. So we're like, okay, we had to go to the grocery store just to see and like really confirm that I was pregnant. So we got a test that said like yes or no. I took that. I really wish I would have filmed that. I filmed like me finding out and like telling Jaren, but I didn't film like us like officially finding out because like I took the 2 tests, but they were like so faint. So we wanted to take like a test that said like that gave us like a definite like yes or no. So we took that. Well, I took it, but he was there. And we waited, and I flipped it over, and it said yes. I screamed so loud because I was just in pure shock because I did not think I was pregnant at all. Like, I didn't have crazy symptoms. I just felt like I was getting my period. I was like, it's not happening. So we told his mom the next day, and then we told my parents, because we went down to North Carolina, and like my parents, like I can't keep a secret from my parents and my brothers. I'm like, they're gonna know if I'm not having a drink at the beach. I'm like, and we were down there for like, I think for like 4 or 5 days, so we were with them for a while. So I was like, okay. And then we shortly told like some like family and some like really close friends, because I'm like, people are gonna find out, or like people are gonna know, and it's like hard for us to keep a secret, and we were so excited. But we didn't announce until I was about like 10 or 11 weeks after my first doctor's appointment because I wanted to have like a concrete answer, like that everything was okay and that I actually was pregnant, because I was still like, oh, I'm not pregnant, like still in disbelief because I didn't have like an ultrasound or like a definite answer from like the doctor because we were just doing at home tests. So I wanted something more like concrete before we announced. But the first kind of symptoms I would say was like the exhaustion. That was huge during my first trimester, and even still in my second trimester. I'm 19 weeks today and I'm still exhausted. Not as bad as I was in the first trimester because I was so exhausted. Like, I needed a nap every day or else I couldn't function. And that was like the huge thing. Exhaustion. I was nauseous. Like most days, I would say, when did it start? Probably about like 8 or 9 weeks. I was nauseous, but it wasn't terrible. I would just have like ginger ale, or I got these, what were they? Not like cough drops, but they were like ginger candies. Those helped a lot too. And I had to make sure like I ate breakfast, or else I was like super nauseous. But yeah, I honestly lucked out so much that I didn't really get sick. I started getting sick, when did I would say like 10 or 11 weeks. It was like at the end of my first trimester. And it was like only a couple times. It was like whenever I like brushed my teeth, I would like gag, which was terrible. Or like if I was super tired, like on Saturdays, I would be super tired from work, and that made me sick, like just the exhaustion. And then kind of went away. So I got sick like maybe a handful of times. Then I went away, and then one weekend I got like randomly sick, but I think it was just because I was like exhausted. But thankfully I didn't get sick every day because I was so nervous about that, because I'm like, it's just gonna happen. I'm like, knowing me, I'm gonna be like getting sick every day, but thankfully I didn't. I am so thankful. But other than that, I would say the exhaustion was like the worst part of my first trimester. And heartburn. Heartburn was bad too. So, like, it was mostly, like, my stomach. But other than that, one thing I forgot. My first trimester, it wasn't the whole trimester, but the first couple of weeks, my skin and hair were so bad. Like, I was breaking out like crazy, especially like hormonal acne, like near my chin and my mouth. It was so bad. Like, I felt like I was going through puberty again. And like, my hair was greasy, my skin was greasy. I was like, and that's when I was like, I'm definitely having a girl. I was like, my skin is so bad. I forgot about that. Thankfully, it cleared up a lot, but I was like, oh my god. I'm like, and I would like wash my face and like my hair, and it would do nothing. Like, it would not take away the greasiness or anything. I was like, this is ridiculous. I felt just, besides like feeling nauseous and like super tired, I felt so bad. Like, because like I felt so insecure because like my body's changing so much, and like I look like I'm going through puberty all over again. I was like, this is a mess. Thankfully, it's gone away. My skin's like kind of back to normal. Like, I break out a little bit in here and there, but like the oiliness definitely has gone down. Thank the Lord. But yeah, my first trimester, it wasn't bad compared to like some of my friends or like family members. They told me, they're like, oh my gosh, like the nausea and the vomiting was terrible. I was like, so thankfully it hasn't been that bad, but definitely during the second trimester, I'm going to do a second trimester recap once I'm like out of the second trimester. So I just hit 19 weeks today, so I'm about halfway through my pregnancy, which is nuts. I can't believe it. Like, it's gone so fast but slow at the same time, if that makes sense. But yeah, thank you for clicking on this video, and please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will continue uploading more frequently. Bye guys.